Do you wish you could get virtual attendees to turn their cameras on? Is engagement the number one issue on your virtual meetings? Do you want your meeting to be the most engaging virtual meeting? Well, welcome to the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. In this podcast, we'll talk to the top people around the world in virtual meetings and give you, the listener, the best ideas to host engaging virtual meetings. Make sure that you click subscribe so you can get the latest episode of the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. Now, let's welcome your host, the author of the #1 Amazon hot new release, Engaging Virtual Meetings, John Chen. Happy Halloween from the space station. This is John Chen in Houston. We actually don't have a problem. We have solutions. All right. Hey, happy Halloween. This is John Chen here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. And we hope that you are having a happy Halloween. I know that I am here in outer space, right? You can't hear sugar scream. So great, amazing things. What's been happening here too? Just enjoying the afterglow of this amazing conference. The Engaging Conference 2023 is complete and amazing things happened. 1,108 registrations and getting some great feedback from attendees who just came back and said, we love how you do this. They're like, why are we not doing it this way? We could be so much better. It's like, what did somebody say? I feel small and big at the same time, where they said like, I don't know. I feel small now that I learned that the world is so much bigger, but I feel big because now I actually know that I can do some of them. And I feel like I made a difference. Somebody actually put a video in their waiting room that I met today, that I date today. So that's what we're out here. We're not out of this world, but we are out of this world when it comes to virtual meetings. Meanwhile, again, if you're watching here on any of our live streams, make sure and hit the subscribe, like, smash those buttons, and hit a comment. We want to hear from you during this podcast because we've got ourselves another guest. You have no idea how beautiful this guest is. This guest went from a 0 to a 7-figure net worth starting at age 50, right? You AARP people, just listen up here. Through real estate investing. So we're going to hear about real estate investing and how virtual meetings can be a part of it. She uses it through coaching courses, podcasts, and books. She loves sharing what she learned with other women to exceed their expectations and create a legacy. Let's give a wonderful welcome here to the one and only Christine McCarron. Christine, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, John. Thanks so much for having me here.
You know, the buzz on the street tells me that what you're doing is so hot, it is like sweet like honey.
Oh, thank you.
But you got to do a couple out of the world jokes here too. So go ahead and see.
Yeah, exactly. And you are so far out of this world, man. I just can't even the stratosphere is aflame with all the news from your latest conference. It's like the buzz is all over the street. It's all over the atmosphere.
Outstanding. Now you got to do the one part, I don't know if you remember the bees that were on Saturday Night Live when John Belushi was there. Right. So one of the things they would do is he would move his head until his antenna would start swinging around. Yeah, exactly. And the whole set was trying so hard not to laugh. Right? That was a genius moment. All right. Speaking of genius moments, Christine, all right, there's a few of my friends who don't know you. Take a moment to introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do in your hive.
I'm a multi-hatted entrepreneurial type. I do real estate investing, as John said. I also have a space which sort of explains the outfit, that and Halloween, I guess, called the Beehive Co-working Community, which is basically a commercial investment for me. Like I bought a cool building and I said, what can we do here that would make money and make this commercial investment worth something? So I created a co-working space here, and it's Halloween. So all the worker bees are dressed up in a really kind of cool, fun costumes. Although we have a number of witches. I don't know if that's indicative of anything, but yeah, I love when I was 50, I had this really moment where I was saying, oh my God, I'm 50. How'd that happen? Now my life is over and it's too late to do anything cool. And then I went to my aunt's 100th birthday party, and there she was, like just sitting there, so alert and cool and funny. And she knew everybody's name and birthday and anniversary, which I still don't know,
Yeah.
most of my relatives' vital statistics. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, I have 50 more years to get this thing right. So that's been my mission now. I'm 60, kind of playing catch up. Like the first 50 years were practice, but I also help other people who are in that same situation who are thinking, oh man, it's way too late for me to have a cool life. But it isn't. It isn't.
Well, I want to tell you that one of your good friends is out here. Robert Kennedy III, RK3, is saying, "Hey, Chris McCarron is fantastic." Right? So yeah,
Thanks,
so
Robert Kennedy III. So nice to hear from you.
he's amazing, and I believe if I got it correct, right, the current president for Black NSA or National Speakers Association,
And a
RK3, is
way cool
also
guy.
the host for Speakernomics, which I recently clocked an episode on our good friends at the NSA podcast, which is available to anybody, non-NSA members, called Speakernomics. Definitely check it out. I did not get paid for that plug. Okay. Meanwhile, back to this, Christine. So, what did you do before real estate? Let's just check. What did you do before 50?
Well, I did real estate before 50, but I just wasn't good at it. So I want to sort of
Okay.
put
So
that caveat out there.
this is great because one of the amazing real estate entrepreneurs here in Seattle, his name is Thach Nguyen, and he literally came here poor, homeless, right from Vietnam, and now he's like driving a Lamborghini. Hopefully, I got it right. He also has a Bentley, and he's on Mercer Island. But he spends a lot of time teaching others, and so I've gotten a chance to do one of the team building exercises at his conference. A very, very inspiring and very giving too. He's given hundreds of $1,000s to create a soccer field in the neighborhood that he grew up in, South Seattle. So I'm curious, what did you get right in the real estate part the second time you did it?
I wasn't too whatever to ask for help. In the beginning, I just thought, okay, I'm just going to do this thing. I'm like born to be a real estate investor. And I went and did all kind of, just did it, bought something without any clue of what I was doing and made I hope it was every mistake. I feel like I've pretty much at this point made every mistake. Hopefully there are no more out there lurking.
Well, Christine, I'm going to give you this part, right? I don't know if you've ever seen my studio, right? But right, this is actually what's really happening in front of me right now.
Wow.
And the
That
reason
is
why I'm saying
impressive.
this is, and I feel like because I've talked to a lot of other real estate people, and I just think there's no way to avoid the mistakes. There's only one thing, which is to fail faster than
Yes.
anybody else. Otherwise, you get stuck in these same old mistakes, or you never made the mistakes, so you never really learn from them. And I think that might be one of the pieces. So, anyways, what if you made all those mistakes? How did you fail faster, or how did you get through them without stopping? Because I think that's the real killer.
It's absolutely is. I didn't know all the things I didn't know, right? So I kept making the mistake and like, wait, am I really just a complete idiot? But what happened is I finally got to buying a place at the right point in the market, like completely by mistake. And
Now,
then
what
later
year, what
on,
year
when
was
I learned
that?
about market cycles, right, I was like, oh, that's how I did that, right?
Can I ask what year was that, Christine?
2008. So it was
Oh,
right at the bottom of the market. It was
oh,
fantastic.
good. You lucked out.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, what helped that shift? What made you want to either start it again or find the courage to do it differently?
It's interesting because I tried all kinds of other things that I was equally bad at, right? I was terrible at stock investing. I was terrible. And I was just like, I even had professionals trying to, advise me on how to invest my money. And I didn't like the way that was working out.
Okay.
And I realized actually it was just really like one thing. I figured out that I just had this real scarcity mindset and that I was determined to get rid of money as fast as I could make it. And that one thing made everything shift.
Now, how did you get that realization? Again, did somebody help you have that, or did you have your own epiphany?
It must have just been like just reading things. And yeah, I had my own epiphany to
Okay.
say, why can't you hold on to money, right? You've made a lot of money in your life and you don't have any. What's up with that?
Another Saturday Night Live skit, right? What's up with that? Have you ever seen What's Up with That?
No, I haven't watched it since I was grown up.
So what's up with that is that there's a host for a show and he never lets any of the guest speakers talk, right? And the whole show theme is called "What's Up with That?" So now you have to go look it up on YouTube. It
I
is
will.
hilarious. So, and what are some of your favorite books, or what do you think is the transformational book? I don't know if you remember it, or if you have others that are favorites on your list.
Well, I love Rich Dad Poor Dad. That did help me to think about things a different way.
Yeah,
The way Robert Kiyosaki delivers that
yeah,
is much more, I think, I don't want to say like simple, but it's more user friendly, I think, for people who don't already know a lot about real estate investing. And I
yes,
think that's where a lot of books sort of start at step 5. And you're like, I don't know, I'm just you're lost from the get go, as
yeah.
opposed to, he just starts out with this very simple way of explaining things. And you're just like, duh, why don't I know? You must know it on some level, but you just didn't think about it that way. And that's a great book. That's a really great book. I
So
like my book too. My book's a great book.
let's see. Wait, hold it up. Let's finish it. Let's finish the book photo thing.
This
Empower
is
your
also
inner
trying to be entry level. Oops.
Empower your inner millionaire. So good. So, and again, a woman's guide. A woman's guide. I talked to somebody else too. I met a while back, and she started her book. It was about financial planning for women, and the book started with 4 women in a hot tub,
Love
right?
it.
Talking about finances, and she kind of talked about the white knight syndrome and a couple other things like that. So, what was the inspiration behind the book? Like, what do you want? Why did you write this book, or what do you want it to do?
I wanted people to have a primer, specifically women to have a primer, because even when I was researching the book, like almost all the books I read were written by men. And you just don't have a good role model. You really need a role model to say, I can do this thing. And not only that, here's a person who made, an unpleasant amount of mistakes and who still managed to get it right and figure out why those mistakes were made. So I can now learn from someone else's mistakes, which is so much cheaper if you can manage to do it and listen to what somebody else is saying. So it was just an effort to try to help people and give them encouragement.
Fantastic. And when did your book come out? When did it come out?
It came out in 2019,
Oh, good timing, right?
right?
And so let's talk about this part too. You told me that you are using virtual, and well, you had to in the last 3 years at some point to really do something around your real estate investing. So I'd love to hear where did virtual come in play for you? Starting, of course, in our good friend March of 2020.
Well, it's as a real estate investor, but more so as a real estate agent and broker. So I'm more giving virtual tours to clients that are outside the country, meeting with people face to face instead of just having to have like an email exchange or a phone call or a choppy, Skype call back in the day. When you're trying to connect with someone that you have never met in person, it's just so much easier if you can see the person, you can see their expressions, you could just I just feel much more connected when I can see a person like this, at least face to face.
And what about the cameras off? So many people are complaining about, "Oh, I'm speaking to a bunch of wall of black boxes," right? So, what do you feel are some of the things that happen in your meetings that people want to turn on their cameras?
Well, a lot of times it's one-to-one, but but let's talk about like networking events, right? If you feel like you're there to present yourself and to sell yourself and to potentially attract new clients, I feel like you're much more willing and anxious and excited to turn on your camera so that same thing, people can connect with you a little bit better and feel more what am I trying to say? Feel more resonance. That's the word.
So think about it, right? Who goes to an in-person event with a paper bag on their head?
Right? Exactly. Stay home.
Yeah, so why even attend a networking event? Okay, maybe it's something else, like the educational stuff, kind of sort of. There are different versions of that. But in a networking event, if your goal is networking, yeah, geez, just turn on the camera. There's so
You
much,
have to.
even if you're not talking too, most of the time, like things like this, your background can be saying things about you, right? I tell people all the time too, you should be using this opportunity, whether you have a in-person background like this, which is put stuff that represents you. People are doing this anyway. When they used to walk in your office, what I call blink your office. Do you remember that book, Blink by Malcolm Gladwell?
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, I found my old copy. Right. So this is where you can put some books here. So this is Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, and
Great book.
The power of thinking without thinking. And what I tell people all the time is that people blink your virtual background and you, and they make a judgment based upon it. And at least they can do that. People will have a much better impression, or at least a impression of you versus if you never turn on your camera. So
Yeah.
what were some of the successes then in the virtual? Like, what were some of your either high points, like either virtual meetings you attended, or one-on-one meeting? I'm just kind of curious. What were like some of your highlights of stuff that you did in the last 3 years that was virtual?
Well, since Robert Kennedy III is on here, we can talk about being part of the Black NSA $1 Million Mastermind, which is
Ooh.
a fantastic virtual meeting that takes place with a lot of NSA members who set goals for their speaking careers and then work through the book Think and Grow Rich together and find ways to accomplish the goals that they've set for themselves with each other's support, using breakout rooms, using testimonials and stuff. That's a fantastic meeting that I've been a part of many times. It's more like a course, I guess you would call it. It's a specific amount of time where you work through that Think and Grow Rich, and then it program ends, and then you go do it again the next season. And that's a fantastic use of Zoom. And we started that even before the pandemic because people are just all over the country.
Yeah, and right. Travel is expensive, and so getting everyone together uh, is a privilege. It's a luxury. It's expensive, and so I think that's hopefully what people are finding out and remembering now about in-person meetings. Although all I also know that is that humans have a tendency to forget really quickly, right? So that they forgot that meeting in person is really something that should be even more high value than it was. Like I think prior to like 2019, people were starting going like, "Oh, I got to go to this in person thing again." And now, hopefully, people are back on this like, "Oh, I get to see everybody. I get to hug everybody."
Exactly.
Uh, who was your best speaker in virtual? Like, or yeah, who like a conference that you attended? Hopefully, you attended somebody else's stuff. So I'm just curious if you have a top speaker who made that crossover to virtual. I'm just curious if you have any.
Gosh, I wish I knew you were going to ask me this, John, because I remember going to like a conference,
Yeah.
in-person learning type of scenario, and the person was so interactive and compelling, and just the way that he ran that meeting, I felt like, wow, it was better because it was virtual, right? He took such advantage of the virtual nature of everything, and I just can't right this second remember his name, but so much good stuff, so much. I mean, just think about, I mean, I know this is a very simplistic thing that everybody's probably used, but just breakout rooms themselves are so powerful. Forcing people into rooms with random strangers and giving them a topic or whatever. It's just, it's you wouldn't do it, right? You might, yeah, I'm going to network with people who maybe look like me or feel like me, or I like their outfit or something. And this is like you just slammed in with people who maybe you have nothing in common with them, but you're definitely going to take something away from that interaction.
Well, I mean, that's the table exercise at a big conference that you're not,
Yeah.
that you're new at. So, that's kind of like that mashing together. But I'd love to hear other things too. What has to happen for Christine to be engaged in a virtual meeting? So you gave me one. Well, you gave me breakout rooms. What are a couple other things that have to happen for Christine to be engaged?
A lot of people run their virtual meeting more like a webinar. So they're just talking and talking, right? And everybody's like, oh, camera's going off. People are just like sliding under the desk. But when you think of it more like a roundtable meeting where you're going to ask people questions, who else has had this experience? What else? I mean, John, there's nothing I could tell you that you don't already know and that your listeners have probably heard people say a million times. But for me to be engaged, I have to be afraid that someone's going to ask me a question or call on me, or right. They're gonna be like, Christine, what do you think? Oh shit. Like, oh, oops. I was just thinking about my next, making notes of what I'm going to have for dinner over here. And now you're going to call on me like, oh no. So yeah, there has to be that fear of interaction.
Okay, well, nobody's explained it that way, which is great. Like, I might have to write a whole article on fear-based engagement, but it's true. What I tell people all the time, like, people ask me, how do I, okay, so the number two problem right after engagement is multitasking.
Yeah.
And so one of my techniques, you'll love this, Christine, right? So tune out for a minute, like buzz off and like look off into the air. Okay, good. Okay, so it sounds something like this. right? Thank you so much for joining us here. Now, what's amazing is that I'm so great that guests like Christine McCarron are going to, they have already contributed great things on ideas like Breakout. And I know that like in the next 10 minutes, she's going to do something. So the key here is though, is like usually Christine, when someone says your name, like I'm the keynote speaker and I say something like Christine McCarron, even if I don't call on you, there you go. That's it, right? You come back to screen going, who said my
Be
name?
in the headlights.
I'm like the queen bee in this moment. Yeah. That's what I should call it is the queen bee name. So because you say somebody's name, but again, don't call on them. So you don't make them look bad. But one of the ways to do that is why using names is so important. And Zoom gives us the whole crib sheet for names. You can forget every single person's name. All you got to do is look at the bottom corner and like Christine, right? There's Robert. There's somebody else. And I love that. Somebody, by the way, here on Facebook, by the way, you got to hit the restream and let us know your name. But I'll peek on one of my streams here. They said, how do I get the virtual background to be so clear? Here, I'm just going to give you a little behind the scenes. You just get a real green screen, right? The key here is light it and light it evenly. And it's sounds easy. It's actually a little harder than it sounds, but the payoff for it is that you can do things like this because using a green screen is better than the virtual one because now you can do things like this and now you look like you're actually in space. So, Christine, let's talk about the future. So you have a bright future ahead of you. You got something that's working. You're using virtual. So what do you want to see in virtual or even hybrid in the future? What do you want to see in your next 10 years? Because you said you got another 50 years, probably 40 now, to figure it out.
40.
So what would you like to see in those next 40 years that would be really, really cool for you?
Well, I'll tell you what I just did here. It's a co-working space. We have offices and things like that. And I just got an owl, which I love because it's so much better. I mean, so many, like I go to a Toastmasters meeting and they meet hybrid once a month. And everybody just sits around the room with their computers in front of them because there's not really a good way for everybody in the room and everybody outside the room to engage. And I had been struggling with that here. And I was like, I'm getting an owl because it's just it's wonderful. It's wonderful. If you talk, it picks you up. It goes to you, right? And if two people talk, you see the two people on the screen. And then if the other if the virtual people are talking, it's just a really nice way. So I think I've also heard of things that are, great system. I love it a lot. But I've also heard of ones where everybody basically has the same background and the way that the whole, I don't know what it's called, but the way the thing is displayed, like everybody looks like they're in the same room. So when you look at the person, you can see everybody around the table as if you were actually there. That's kind of fun too, but.
Well, let's see here, because you can actually do this here now in Zoom. I don't know if you knew this, but let's say we wanted to have a fireside chat. Oh, they changed this one. Hold on. But let's say we wanted to do an interview. Okay, so watch 3, 2, 1, your background. There we go.
Yeah.
So, like now we're here in the cafe, and so there are things like this that you can do now, and I have made what are called self-repeating backgrounds, which means that the background on the left and the right and the top and the bottom will match. So what happens is that you create a grid, right, with everybody in it, and it looks seamless. Like the people next to you look like you're in the same room. So
See the problem, John, my antenna don't come out.
Oh, I know.
That's a flaw. That's a design flaw.
Well, see now again, if you had antennas, right? So this is the green screen. Oh yeah, see, look, mine don't work here either. But here, let me relieve this. No, see, but this is a case here now where too funny. So in the future, I think that's what you're talking about. Is that I think what I heard you say is there will become more and more inclusive environments or ways it looks like we're together.
Yeah.
A simple tip that I use too in my setup is just like in the one-on-one. I don't know if you do this, Christine. I go into speaker mode, especially in a one-on-one, because what happens is your vision, your image fills up the whole screen, and then your eyes are actually as close to the camera as possible.
Yeah.
And that's what allows me to feel as close as possible to have a conversation with you. It's also why I use real speakers. So like right now, again, I don't see you have headphones, so I don't like using headphones for that part. Because again, we are as close as possible, to fooling ourselves to say that we're right across the table from each other. You'll love this part too, Christine. Last year we invented the virtual dinner party. And the virtual
Fun.
dinner party says put your camera above your television across from the dinner table. And then the other person sets up the same way. And so your two tables actually should look like they merged together on camera. And so we've had 2-person or like 4-person dinner parties, 2 on our side and 2 on the other side. And it was hilarious. It was super fun. We could have dinner parties with anybody in the country at a time when nobody could meet. And
That
so
sounds fun. What a great
it was
idea.
invented by IBM like 10 or 20 years ago because they created a conference table that was cut in half and moved into the wall, and they had put the same other half of the conference table in another office and then tuned the cameras to make it look like the table actually extended, and so you felt like you're at the same table. Yeah,
Fun.
so those are other things that I think that'll start to happen. Um, so yeah, what else? What's your wish? Do you have we're almost to 2024. What's your wish for 2024?
My wish for 2024 is that I will make this latest endeavor a passive income stream. That's
Oh.
my big thing. I want this beehive to be a place where I can come in and visit just like everybody else. And I don't have to sit here and, I mean, not that I don't love greeting people when they come in, but I just, I like to be a little more flying around than I am right now.
All right, and if people, right, who are listening to this interview, if they could only remember one thing from this interview, what would you want that one thing for them to remember?
That no matter how many times you've screwed something up, take Napoleon Hill's example and be persistent and just keep on plugging at it, because if you ask for help and build your mastermind, you are going to be able to succeed. So don't take no for an answer. Don't take, I really screwed that up, as a lifelong prescription for a failure. So you screwed that up. That was a learning experience. And now what? Right? Now what?
All right, well, I think I heard some key message here. Be screwy, be persistent, be amazing, and eventually be successful.
Absolutely. Right? And can I just put a little caveat out there that I don't actually dress like this every day, that this is a Halloween thing?
I dress like this every day. I told you, because look, I got a space shuttle right here.
I love it. You look like you're at the space shuttle. Oh my God, it's like so high tech. I could see you at NASA.
Anyways, all right. Well, Christine, thank you so much for joining us here on the Engaging Virtual Meeting podcast. Right? Be amazing and happy Halloween, Christine.
Thank you so much, John. And the same to you.
All right. Well, this has been the Engaging Virtual Meeting podcast with our good friend Christine McCarron. All right. Again, hit that smash on that subscribe or the comment or the like button. Thanks for our people here. I love that someone chatted #truth, I think, and great book about either it's probably Christine's book or it could be our good friend's Malcolm's book, which was called Blink. So thank you for that. And for those of you here who are on the elder side, we're getting into our best years, and you think that you don't have time, you have time, right? If you're watching this thing, you have time. Go do something, right? And if you don't think you can, go call Christine and check out her website. I put her link inside of this. So thank you so much for another episode of Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. Make sure and subscribe so you can get the next one, and we will see you next time. This is John Chen, the author of the Amazon #1 hot new release, Engaging Virtual Meetings. I personally want to say thank you for listening to the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. It is my passion to help you eliminate bad virtual meetings. Make sure that you click subscribe so that you can get the latest episode of the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast with all of the latest ideas. Hey, I want to meet you. If you want to talk about a virtual meeting challenge, or if you want to be the next guest on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast, just go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/meet. That's ENGAGINGVIRTUALMEETINGS.com/meet, MEET, and find your best time to meet up. Thank you, and I look forward to engaging with you online.